Okay, so here we are again. Moving on to with my story. A bit of a change of scenery today. I'm sat on the floor today. Um, Anyone want to say hello to Dougie? Say hey, Dougie. Hey, Dougie. Right, that's my pug, Doug. So yeah, look. Oh, sweating. All right, a bit of a change of scenery. So yeah, my story continues. The story continues. Dun dun dun. All right, so yeah, there I was, brand new manager, open on 98 students. Um, Consultants came to help out. Now, just have in mind that when consultants come to help out, they stay at your house. They they basically live in your house, and we treated them like because I used to when I was a consultant, I went to Wolverhampton to help out with a guy called Ian Latham, who was the manager. He was transferred from the Northern Zone to the Central Zone. I think he lasted probably 2 weeks in the Central Zone. Basically, when I went there, we were dumped in a room. I mean, the guys were dumped in a room anyway because that's all we had. But we were dumped in a room. We slept on the floor, and he didn't treat us well. We had to buy our own food. We had to eat out. He'd come back with 3, 4 bags, 5 bags of shopping, and make his own dinner, and not offer us. Didn't even offer us a cup of tea or anything. Just left us to it. So I thought to myself, do you know what? The way that I've been treated, I was there for a week. There was me, Matt Hickling, and I can't remember any other guys that were there. But yeah, we got treated like crap basically. Um, we had to fend for ourselves. Didn't even offer us breakfast. It was just a case of up, out. We didn't shower at his house. We showered in the venue. So as you can appreciate, and he didn't even come out knocking on doors with us. He just sort of sent us off to it. I mean, he was a failing manager anyway. Um, we'd be sat there thinking, all right, we've had to eat out whatever, kebab or whatever we had. He didn't even make us any food, but him and his missus, they certainly ate well. So I just thought to myself, when a team comes to help me, they're not going to get that treatment. They're going to get the royal treatment because they're coming out of their comfort zone. They're coming out of their regions and away from their families to help me start my region off. So, my ex would make them Sunday dinner at 10 o'clock at night. They'd get in and they'd have a full roast. We sort of looked after them. We let them have the sort of run of the house. Watch TV, do what you want on. You know, so yeah, we sort of treated them. We made sure that they were offered things and that they had, mi casa es su casa kind of thing, because they were doing us a favor. They were doing us a favor by helping out away from the families, etc. So yeah, there I was a new manager. We opened up, being held to task, etc. When I talk about held to task, what I mean is you just didn't have time to do anything. I can remember one time as a manager. So we're into management now. We're into the management scenario now. I remember one time as a manager, uh, we had a task to do for the assistant chief instructor, the EVP, Sheehan Stacey, and it was meant to be in by Sunday. This was a bank holiday weekend. Okay, I know this because it was a scary weekend, and it was basically collecting numbers, collecting names, collecting dojos where instructors taught, etc., and sending it off on an Excel spreadsheet. Now mine was done. Mine was pretty much done. I just thought, you know what? I'll send it Sunday. I'll send it. I'll send it later on. Um, Now that Sunday, me and my then partner and 2 kids went from Hull to Harrogate for a family get together. It was a family barbecue. I'd had a couple of beers. It was a Sunday. It was a beautiful sunny day. Yes, it was bank holiday weekend. Beautiful sunny day. So I'd had a few beers. Um, you know, Enjoying myself. We're chilling out. Anyway, later on, there's a phone call. There's a phone call because I was in fear of doing what I did. Got me vitamin C. Because I was in fear of doing what I did, as in leaving my region, Um, I left the party to go out front and take his phone call. And lo and behold, guess who it was? Sensei Bob McCracken. When that name comes up on your phone, Sensei Bob, your heart tends to race a little bit and you tend to get palpitations and you start to get nervous. So there he is, and he's asking me if I had done my report for Stacey correcting. So I said, no, not yet. I'm going to send it off later. He said, well, it had to be in at a certain time, and it's like, well, that time must have slipped my mind. He asked where I was, so I said we're in Harrogate. Now this is going to get a little bit blue. So you know, if there's kids watching this, which I recommend they don't, it's going to get a little bit blue. Who the fuck said you could go out of your region? Mumbling, stuttering me. No one said. All right, where the fuck is this report? This is screaming down my phone. I'm being calm now, but this was screaming down the phone. The guy literally ripped my throat out down the phone. I'm going to send it right. I suggest you get back to your fucking office and you call me when you get there. Okay. Hi, yes, Sensei. Beep. Hangs up. Right, come on, missus. Come on, kids. We've got to go. Why? Because of this, and this. So all the way home, I'm a little bit inebriated. She's driving, and I am cacking my pants. Have in mind that I wasn't an employee of GKR Karate. I was a contractor of GKR Karate. My company provided services for GKR. So they didn't pay me direct. They didn't pay James Davey a wage slip or anything. They just paid it into the bank. You sorted your own tax out. You sorted your own national insurance out, which you can opt out if you're self-employed anyway. You sorted your own VAT out and stuff. There was no pension scheme. There was nothing. So you know, have in mind that I'm a contractor for this club, not employed in any which way or form. My company just provided services, and me as the company, those services were things that I provided, and they just paid my company. They didn't pay me. So we're driving home. We get to just outside Hull, and phone goes again. Where the fuck are you? Do you know, I do it in an Australian accent, but I can't. I'm about 10 minutes away, Sensei. About 10 minutes away. Okay, when you get back to your office, you fucking phone me. Okay. So again, I'm apologising for the language, but this is what it was. I'm pretty much quoting the language. So he gets back to the office. Phoned him. Hi, Sensei. Yeah, I'm back in the office. Right, you get that fucking report done, and when it's fucking sent off, you fucking phone me. Okay, so I'm panicking to get this report done. Computer don't want to start. Back then we had dial-up. You know, there was no such thing as broadband or fibre. It was dial-up. So if your phone didn't dial up, you know, dial-up was you guys that are watching this, you know what dial-up is. So yeah, there was no such thing as broadband. It wasn't even there. So dial-up. So I'm getting this report on my cheapo computer, but back then it was a good computer. And I'm pulling this report up, and I'm panicking to send it, and I'm faffing around. My wife at the time, my partner at the time, she was stood over my shoulder, just telling me to calm down. I was breaking. I was totally breaking. So I gets it up. Dial up worked. Send it off. Boom, and yeah. Then I had to make the phone call. Hi, Sensei. Yeah, I've sent it now. I apologise for not sending it before. If you ever want to leave your region, as in leave Hull, to go to see family, you make sure you get authorization. You make sure you get permission from me first. Okay, I want to see you and I'll say a name, and Olga. Olga was my wife, my partner. I don't know if we're married then. My partner at the time. I want to see you and Olga in my office tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. It might have been 10 a.m. Yes, Sensei. No problem. Beep. Okay, what do you do with that? Bank holiday Monday tomorrow. I and my partner, doesn't even work for GKR, doesn't even contract to GKR. At that time, she wasn't even teaching class, I don't think. Okay? She was nothing to do with GKR Karate. But me and my then partner had to get up at whatever time. 2 kids. We've got to find babysitters for the kids because we can't take them with us. It was Stoke-on-Trent. We had to drive from Hull to Stoke-on-Trent on Bank Holiday Monday. So she gets her business clobber on. I get my business clobber on, thus to make a good impression. We get there probably 9:30. We're round the corner from his house. We're both popping our pants, man. We're both thinking, what is going on? You know, we didn't sleep the night before. We were just a nervous wreck. I certainly wasn't, because I was, she was as well. So yeah, so within the space of probably 12 hours or so, we had to find a babysitter for 2 kids. Come round, we don't know when we're going to be back. You know, we're leaving at this time. Can you come round and look after the 2 kids? Yep, sure, no problem. I think it was a family friend that we had, that we got via GKR. So we met some friends, we met some complete arseholes as well. So there we are, Stoke-on-Trent, 9:30. Worrying. Didn't want to get there too early, didn't want to get there late. So 5 to 10 or 5 minutes before, we are knocking on the door. Right, come in. He's there in his collar and tie, and I'm thinking, sugar. Mrs. was there as well. Her name was Belinda. So I'm thinking, you know, what is going to go on? Sits us both down at the dinner table with paperwork in front of him. Like, what is going on now? I am gone. I am totaled. I've been here a couple of months. I am finished. Right, let's get one thing straight, you two. Nobody's being fired today. I mean, when he opened the door to us, he did say, you guys look like you've had a night from hell. And we're like, yeah, we have. Okay, but he had this presence. And back then, I was just, I was new to the management side of things. I was quite green. And I was a skinny bloke. I used to weigh 11 stone. I used to have a 28-inch, I think it was 28-inch waist or 30-inch waist. It's double that now. You know, and these days I'm 18 stone and I've got a bit more nous about me. So I don't fear easily. But back then, you know, we were fearful for our job. We were fearful, you know, we've packed up, we've sold a house, which was her house. It wasn't mine. And, you know, because I didn't send a piece of paper in, we're potentially going to get sacked today. Now, when they say get sacked or fired, they can't technically fire the individual, because we're not employees of the company. Excuse me, I'm still getting over this cold, which is getting better, by the way. You can probably tell from my voice. So yeah, there we are. And he just goes through some figures, some figures of where my performance is, what I need to change, things I need to do. We were probably there for about an hour, 2 hours, and he's just basically reading us the riot act, really. Just giving us advice, but we knew we'd done wrong. When I say we, I mean me. Because again, she had nothing to do with it. This was all my doing. So yeah, so that was a bit of a sigh of relief. I think, because it's like, well, if I get fired today, you know, what are we going to do? We've got a mortgage to pay. She didn't work because she spent all the time working. So my ultimate goal was for her not to work and for me to provide. So she didn't have a job. She didn't work for many years. She did get a job, but the amount they were paying her, I said, don't bother. We'll just build this thing and we'll be all right. So we're driving back from Stoke-on-Trent. I don't know what time it was. It was a bit of a haze, so we gets back, and you know, the relief was sort of But just to and that then instilled it flicked a switch for me, and the switch was that I am not allowed to leave Humberside. I am not allowed to go outside of this region. I have to get permission to go to my mother's. I have to get permission to go to see their family. And that was something that I wasn't going to do. I didn't want to go cap in hand and say, please, sir, can I? Because I was scared of him saying no. Because the answer, it came up one day, and again another switch had flicked because we just finished Christmas break. We just had 2 weeks off. We didn't go anywhere. We just stayed at home, visited family, etc. Because in those 2 weeks, the club shut down, so we were allowed to go wherever we wanted. So yeah, he came up one day, and we just finished Christmas. I think it was probably end of January, beginning of February. And he said, "Right, James, what are your goals? What are your goals for this year?" And I said, "Do you know what, Sensei? I'd really like to take the family on holiday." I didn't say where. I just said holiday. What do you mean holiday? You just had 2 weeks off. Okay. So the switch then was no holiday. Just shot me down. Just totally shot me down. Can you afford to go on holiday? You need to be here in your region. You need to be here building your region. You need to be doing this. When you get to 1,000 attendance, then you can go on holiday. So your freedom wasn't really your freedom. You didn't have freedom. You barely had freedom of choice because you weren't allowed to do certain things. Again, you're checking in every single day. You've got to report every single day. If you go on holiday, who's gonna go do the banking? Who's gonna go to the bank and make sure the money's in? Who's gonna make sure the senior class is being taught? Who's gonna make sure the report is done? I wasn't looking at a holiday straight away. I just thought a holiday this year would be nice, and it could have been anywhere, absolutely anywhere. So at that time, we probably sat around 200 attendances. So that's 200 student training per week. So it grew really, really, really slowly. But that's two switches that have flicked in my head. Like, got to ask permission to leave the region. My region spanned from Scarborough right through to the outskirts of Leeds. So probably it was a big region. All down the east coast, right down to Skegness, basically. So to go from corner to corner, top to bottom of the region would probably take maybe 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours drive. So it was big, it was vast. And at this time, we only had a small amount. So to leave that area, we had to get permission. So that's one switch has flicked. Second switch that flicked was can't have holidays. Don't ask for a holiday because you just had 2 weeks off. Okay. So that was a shut off for me. That was when I look back on things, and I, sort of assess things now, and I look back on how I was treated in the early days, the messages that I was given in my head, the fear that I had inside me of this man. I attribute some of that to how I am now. I attribute some of that to my depression. I attribute some of that to my anxiety. Depression, anxiety were a thing of shake it off. We were trained to not let things get to us. We were trained to always have positive mental attitude. Um, they would get us reading books. They would get us listening to CDs of motivational speakers, which I still have today. I still have all the books that I purchased. I still have all the CDs that I purchased. So I can still go back to these things, and I can still, personal develop myself. I can still have personal growth. But that was the big thing, personal growth. So they kind of trained us to deal with certain things. So whenever we spoke about depression, whenever somebody said to me about depression, I just saw it as a state of mind. And I would say to people, suck it up, just think of something positive, do something positive. Depression, you can snap out of that easy. Never even heard of anxiety, really. Didn't even know what anxiety was until your first panic attack. Then you realise you got anxiety. But yeah, so every time this guy was around, my nerves started to kick in because I didn't want to cross him again. I made sure from that point forwards, I was at every meeting half an hour early. And bear in mind the meetings were in Stoke-on-Trent, sometimes Birmingham. I made sure that my paperwork was done before time. I regimented myself. I trained myself to not have that phone call again. That phone call made a spark in my mind, and I trained myself to never have that kind of phone call again. And lo and behold, I didn't have that kind of phone call again. There was no more verbal. I mean, if you look at it, it was kind of verbal abuse. It was, if you look back, it was verbal abuse, and contractors don't deserve that. But I stayed for the karate. I stuck around because it was karate and I could do karate and I could get money from it. But yeah, those triggers were. Any email that came through, every time I saw the guy's name, I started to get a little bit panicky and thinking, oh, he sent an email, sent one of those boomerang faxes again with, this is unacceptable, what a lot of crap, and, cream of the crap, and all sorts of things, really, all kinds of things that that can have a mental effect. The one good thing that nobody in that company ever ever questioned, and they still can't today, was my karate ability. Because I'm blowing my own trumpet here, but it was second to none. Even the founder and chief instructor, when I received my second dan, said that this is the most natural person he's ever seen do karate before. Here's a second dan. I got a few people's backs up. Did that comment. So that was my second dan at the Rico Arena in Coventry. So I didn't want those phone calls again. I was in fear. I was fear of losing my job, basically. I was fear of losing the karate. No holidays, no leaving the region, just stick. So we stuck around. We did stick around. Like I say, I was there for. I was 15 years as a manager. Karate has been over half my life. I don't think there's a lot of people out there that can say that, they've started something and they've been doing it for over half their life. Some people are doing things all their lives, but, I've been doing karate for half my life now, 43 years. No. 23 years. And I do have it in my heart. I've got it in my heart. I've got it in my soul. I'll come back to this later on, but my knowledge was limited. Not because I limited it, because I was limited. The John Maxwell calls it the law of the lid. So this is where I was. These are the switches that had been triggered inside my head. So the law of the lid kicked in for me. I didn't know this. I didn't know the law of the lid until later on. So John Maxwell, 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Now, the law of the lid is this. If you take a jar and you put a flea in that jar, that flea will jump out of the jar. If you take that same jar, put the same flea in the jar, and put a lid on there, the flea will train itself to jump so high because it's hitting the lid. Then you take the lid off and the flea will not jump out of the jar. It's a bit like elephants. You see elephants, these ginormous, amazing creatures, and they're at the circus and they're just basically tied up with a piece of string. Why is that? Because as a baby, the elephants are chained to a big stick, a big thing in the ground. They struggle, they try and pull away. Eventually, as they're growing up, they just decide, it's no use. I can't get away. So their brain is then conditioned to, there's no point in trying. Dolphins do the same thing. When you see dolphins jumping out of the water, how do they do that? Well, they start at the bottom, go through a hoop, give it a fish. Raise the hoop, go through a hoop, give it a fish. It's getting rewarded every time it goes through a hoop. It's like, yay. Go through raise it above the water level, let it swim through the hoop, give it a fish. Now it's going to jump through the hoop, give it a fish. So it's getting rewarded every single time. It's mind conditioning, and conditioning happens over time. It doesn't happen straight away. It happens over time. So I was conditioned to, I'm limited now. Even in my personal life, my business life, I was limited to certain things I could do. So there we are. We grow in the region. I'm out canvassing for consultants. Eventually, what happened was is I started a couple of guys, and things started to go okay. You know, we had a lot of guys, and in fact, I'll backtrack a little bit. We started guys left, started them, they left, started them, they left, started them, they left. So they wouldn't last very long. Now, one day, I had a new guy starting, and I'd not had a consultant for a while. But this guy was starting, and I was quite excited that he was starting. I was a bit gutted that I had to go knocking on doors with him, but I was ready. So here it comes, that morning, Bob McCracken rocks up with his wife. They came to help us with our garage. What he wanted to do, so again, he's not all bad. What he wanted to do was he wanted to convert my garage into a meeting area, into a meeting room. So we got supplies. We made a massive meeting room table. Him and his wife painted with my partner. We helped them, and I said, right, I've got to go. I've got this guy coming. I've got to do a meeting with him. I'll show him the scripts and things. And then I'm going to go out knocking on doors. Bob's like, yep, no worries. We'll crack on with this. Just make it a good one. So goes upstairs in our little 3-bedroom house because my office was upstairs. Goes into the office. I went through, all right, so I forget the guy's name. I totally forget it. But I went through everything with him. I said, right, okay, this is how you start. This is what you do. I showed him exactly what we do. Went through all the paperwork. Went through enrolling a student. And at the end of the meeting, his words were, this isn't for me. So you put a lot of time and effort into somebody, and they then turn around and say, this isn't for me. You give somebody opportunity and they say it's not for me. So I didn't know what to say. I was kind of dumbfounded. I was struck because the guy had actually made it all the way from where he lived to a meeting. He'd come in GKR attire, because we used to give T-shirts to new consultants back then. So he'd come in GKR attire and sign his agreement, come to the meeting, sat there for an hour listening to me, and then at the end of it, listen for me. Okay. I didn't know what to say, so I said, right, well, okay. Can't force you into it, and he left. Bob later on said that my face spoke 1,000 words. He said, I thought you were going out canvassing. I'm like, well, just quit. I said, that's all right. And Bob was of the same mentality. That's okay. And I thought, really? One minute you verbally kicking my teeth in for not sending a piece of paper. Then the next minute it's okay that a consultant's quitting. Okay, so I got changed and we finished the meeting room and we did a good job. We did, it was all laminated flooring. It wasn't a garage anymore. It was another room. We paid for the door bricking up and a big window putting in. It was a meeting room. My office was still upstairs, but it was a meeting room. So yeah, I can remember same day, sat at the top of the drive eating McDonald's with Bob. I think all gone to McDonald's and got some cheeseburgers and remember John Cooper coming round on his big bike. God rest his soul. Good guy. 6'2". He was a mountain, but he was a friendly giant. A really really nice guy. And he was an instructor and he was dropping fees off. He was just coming by on the bike, and Bob was into bikes and Harleys and stuff like that. So yeah, and we had a bit of a chat with John and got back to work, I suppose, working on the meeting room, putting stuff on the wall, maps on the walls, making it look professional. So when people came round for, say, an interview, they'd go into the garage, they'd go down the side of the house, go into the garage, and they'd sit at the table and we'd do interviews. And then when the guys came round, they could sit on the table. Now the table sat 10 people. 10 people. That was another switch for me. That was another switch. Because I saw it, I just thought, because before it was a garage, like the lighting was shockingly poor. It had a garage door. I didn't know what a meeting room looked like because we used to have meetings as consultants in a bar upstairs of Armley Sports Centre. We just have the two tables at the front for the managers, and then we used to all sit around in chairs and then split off and do our thing. So I didn't know what a meeting room looked like. This guy wanted me to have a meeting room, and not just, and it was part of the house. It was tax deductible because it was used for business. So yeah, I mean, I didn't claim anything on that because if you use part of your house, I mean, I don't know if it's changed, but if you use part of your house for business, that reduces the property value. So we decided not to do that because we didn't want the property value to drop. I think we bought the house for about 80 grand back in those days. We had a mortgage on it. So yeah, I had this meeting room. And I was like, this is a cool meeting room because, like I said before, it was a garage. Dingy, dungeon, old carpet on the floor, crappy office tables for guys to sit around. I had PlayStation posters on the wall. I had a crappy map on the wall. It was just dark and dingy and horrible and ugh. Wasn't something that would motivate you. This meeting room, however, had a massive table in there. All the walls were magnolia, big window to let the light in. Behind where I was sat at the top of the table, behind me was a shelving unit with the hot water meter underneath. There was a fuse box which we boarded in. We put so we could lift it up and we could check the fuses, and we boarded that off. So it just looked clean. It looked clean, and I was like, wow, this is my meeting room. This is now starting to look like something. And that was another switch that flipped for me. And it was, I've got 10 seats. I need to fill each one. I need to fill every single seat in this room. And that's the next chapter.